Hey guys, this week I posted a video talking about my solution to the reaction content quote-unquote scam as a way of kind of expressing my data and what I've shared with you guys already up to this point, going through what it's like to be reacted to and what it's like to do a reaction. And clearly the answer in terms of just the data alone is that it's way more valuable to me as a content creator to make reaction content. Now, I'm not going to become a reaction content Andy. That's not why I think reaction content should exist on my platform. I think it should always be discussion based, and I love it when people react to my content, and hopefully that catches you guys up. But the TLDR is that I will be doing more reaction content on this channel, and I will be doing a manual 50-50 revenue share with that of the original content creator. In fact, I posted a video going through Death of a Game New World from Nerd Slayer, and he asked that I donate that money to charity, and so he named a charity, and I will be supporting that with that revenue share. Now it's like $20 is the current revenue on that. We'll let it see if it racks up any more views overall, and then essentially I'll be making sure that that charity gets their cut of the revenue. And that's something that I'm going to do personally because I both enjoy reaction content. I enjoy people reacting to my content. And since there really isn't a system in place, I'm taking that on myself. You don't have to follow suit. This is just my personal way forward. But that being said, there's been a wide range of awesome opinions, and I'm gonna say awesome because even if I don't agree with something or even fully understand it, nothing I say should ever seem or hopefully come across as me trying to dunk on somebody. It's all about discussion. I think that's how we grow. That's how like our thoughts and our experiences evolve. Your experiences in life are way different than mine, and so I always like to hear from you so that hopefully I can help and inform and grow my own opinions on certain topics to become a better both content creator and hopefully a better human being. But all that being said, Alex actually left a couple of comments here, and I want to explore them as a topic of today's video. Feel free to weigh in, and maybe we'll do some more of these kind of community feedback, player feedback style videos, especially around these bigger topics, because a lot of people like reaction content. I think that's what the data shows. Like if we literally strip out all the emotion from all of it, the data shows there's a demand for reaction content. Is that demand purely algorithmic? Maybe, but until YouTube does something, until our feedback hits them, we're going to have to keep trying this experiment out, in that regards. But anyway, Alex writes, I think that any platform change to make it fair for the reactee would inevitably make reacting uninteresting for the reactor. A revenue split could not be 50-50, and then that would value the reaction as much as the original content being reacted to. It would have to be more like a finder's fee of 10 to 15% at most. Creating such a system could have the unintended consequences of incentivizing more React content on the platform, which I don't think most creators would be happy with. Unrelated to that, the revenue split between creators would be really nice for collabs. And I definitely agree with that aspect of the collabs perspective for sure. But again, there needs to be some systems in place. But he follows this up because I was kind of curious about the comment, and says, in my opinion, a revenue share, to be fair to the original creator, it would be very one-sided for it to be live around 90-10 or 80-20 at most. Reacting would be much less profitable. People still would do it for the fun, but not as a relevant source of income like Asmongold does it. And so that's essentially kind of what, if you guys haven't seen Dark Viper's AU's kind of post, he talked about how reaction content and how the system is incentivizing it ends up kind of basically de-incentivizing unique and original content. And if you took out a reaction content altogether, you'd actually get better content. And I don't know where I fall on that. I think that's essentially very it's subjective in terms of kind of the supposition, that's kind of being presented here. But not that it's wrong and not that it's right. And so the question though is that if you built in some kind of revenue share, would you actually negatively impact the reactor in this case? And that's how I read Alex's comment. If I'm misreading it, let me know. I'm dyslexic and I suck at words. And why not make a YouTube channel where you speak and try to read for, fun? Who knows? I'm crazy. But at this core, I don't think this actually hurts the reactor. I think the reactor in this case is over incentivized to do so. I think the numbers that I showed you guys in my previous video legitimately show that in terms of subscriber growth, in terms of revenue, in terms of impressions. And that's kind of the thing. That impression is at an introduction. Now, I actually value the reactor because it acts as a warm handoff. Now, the collab between the content creators is the highest form of that warm handoff. It's a great way to introduce a whole community to somebody else. And so that's why I'm always very pro collab. We've done many collabs here on this channel in the past. We'll continue to do collabs here in the future. And I think that's something that's very important to content creation as well as like to introduce you guys to great content creators. Speaking of which, you guys should check out Rurikon and Chaos Prime. Like, I love those guys. They're great content creators. And if I can do this in time, I'll make sure I tag them in this video. If I don't, just message me in the comments. I'll be sure to add it after the fact. Sometimes I'm good at it. Sometimes I suck. But that's the human condition on which I live. Anyway, so that being said though, is that I still think the reaction content acts as that warm handoff. However, right now, there's no incentive to do anything else. Like, you can go and work and create original content, and I think that's good. And if you stopped, if that whole thing stopped, then reaction content would also stop completely. What I think we're seeing though is that kind of the realization that this being paid in exposure is a myth. It is, like, in terms of the numbers, like a 1% exposure, a 5% exposure, like, isn't real exposure, because you need that continual reaction. You need that continual exposure. And ultimately what you're seeing is, it's kind of, in my mind, a rich get richer kind of approach. And I'm not a million sub YouTube channel, but I do have a significant amount of subscribers, and thank you guys for that. That being said, is that I would actually do something. I would take the approach a little bit differently to help grow YouTube channels, because I honestly like when people can succeed, because I think it gives me more interesting things to watch. Like, take Eorzean Archives. Again, great content, great Final Fantasy lore. Can't praise them enough. If I can not be a lazy son of a gun, I'll tag them also in the comments of this video. Like, these are people that I am finding things that I enjoy, and it's more powerful for me to kind of shout them out than it necessarily is to be a reaction. And we see that actually happening over and over and over again, because the fear is that I end up, I could, and I'm not going to start reacting to all their content, but I could do a reaction to their content and then essentially provide some context for my experience. That would be a value-driven proposition, but I could also then de-incentivize their growth. Now, I think that they would be completely fine with that, and especially with my 50-50 manual revenue share, that's fine. When I say 50-50, that's kind of my personal choice when it comes down to it. It could always vary. In fact, one of the things that a lot of people ended up going through in the comments is a lot of people feel the original content should be 90-10, and some people should feel like it should be 10-90. And like, at the end of the day, like, I think giving the creators the choice and the tools would be the win, would be literally giving everybody the best of both worlds. Like, do you feel like your content that was reacted to, where, let's say if I was just like eating some chips and not adding anything, I'm just literally just watching a video and you're watching it with me while I eat chips, like, and it ends up being the same exact length or very, like, just a little bit longer than the original, like, that isn't a reaction. That's literally just, you know, in my mind, content theft. But and where people have gotten annoyed at me, like where my reaction might be twice or more the length of the original, because we pause, we discuss various points that are being made, we make it discussion based, we make it, you know, that driving factor. I always kind of liked, and what I shifted into is response content's also, I think, very good, in which that you kind of just jump to the key points. And so maybe I end up kind of playing around with a personal blend of that, but I still want to drive, you know, value to the original creator of the subject, the topic, or the video. So when I do that, that's my choice, and I hope that maybe other people will manually kind of do that, whether that's through YouTube subs or memberships or super chat or the Patreon, or however, what method that I can do it. Now, again, like, I'm not massive, so I'm not getting 400, 500,000 views on a single reaction video, and that ends up being very, very value driven. And so that could be game changing money for some of these smaller creators, and that's kind of the point of it. And maybe that's where, again, it's not about you know, like, being that YouTube doesn't give us the tools. Like, I think essentially it comes down to maybe that of the reactor. But when you start to look at the numbers, like, you know, all of a sudden having somebody get like a random $1,000 because their video got reacted to and it generated a lot of money, I think that pays. I think that's, you can eat with that. You can feed your kids with that. You can pay your bills with that, right? exposure, is great, but that does require the fact that you've put a week into work on that video and you got, a 1% click-through rate, and hopefully they come back, and there's no guarantee that they will, because now you got to keep doing it again. And then it ends up you're kind of just, I don't know, feel like maybe you're being taken advantage of. So that's my personal philosophy when it comes down to it. I don't think this is going to hurt the Reactor at all, especially right now because it's completely manual. But if the YouTube ever did build in that system, I don't think it would hurt reaction content in the slightest. In fact, if people were just doing it for the money, I think that I would like to know that. I think there's an authenticity that like Asmongold brings in his reactions because he's got so much experience with these games. And whether you end up agreeing with his points or not, like I think authenticity is kind of the key aspect of a Reactor's content and the knowledge that they bring to it. But that's maybe the content that I consume. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Anyway, guys, I got to get ready for a stream. Surprise stream today over on Twitch. If you guys are still watching, link will be in the description. We've got New World drops to be handed out and more. So thanks, guys, for your time. I look forward to seeing my next video, and hopefully I'll see you then or see you over there. Either way, thanks for being here. Love you faces, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to Destiny. I'm off with a clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh yeah.